10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, Wrestle Talk family. Welcome into Wrestle Talk Podcast, episode number 542. Ladies and gentlemen, oh my goodness, there has been so much going on in the world of professional wrestling in the past few weeks, and just so much to talk about. I can't wait to get into it, but we're going to have a few different people joining us tonight, and I know my one co-host, Gabriel Arsene, he is coming, ladies and gentlemen, but he's having some technical issues. He's been working on them for over an hour. So, I think he just popped in. Let me see here. Let's see if they are taken care of. Can you hear me, Gabe? Gabriel, I'm not hearing you. I can't hear you. Okay, evidently the issues still continue with him, but that's okay while he still continues to work on that, and he'll give me a thumbs up when he's ready. I got somebody else sitting backstage here that can help out for a little bit, so let's bring on the one and only Miss Bad Susie Haas, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, hey, hey.
So you can hear me, correct?
I can hear you.
All right, cool.
And
I hear you loud and clear.
Me, can't you?
I see you. I hear you. It is good to go. So.
Okay, cool.
All right. So it's great to be here tonight. So much been going on, I tell you. So let's go ahead and start things off as we usually do. And let's roll our sponsors here. So as always, we'd like to thank our great and wonderful sponsors. We've got Retro Zone. We got Painter's Dream Productions. That's the one and only Big Daddy P. Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. That's Luke and the guys over there absolutely killing it. We got Doomed Outfitters, the one and only Will. We might see him after a while. World Domination Wrestling Alliance and the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling group. So always be sure to check out our wonderful sponsors, So shout out to Chris Rodell, Big Sexy. How you doing out there tonight, buddy? We miss you here on Wrestle Talk Podcast. So I tell you, have you been keeping up with all the stuff going on lately in the world of professional wrestling?
Somewhat. I mean, I've been keeping up with a lot of it. And not just in the sense of, WWE, AEW, and any of that. I've even been keeping up with the local scene, I know you and I both were at a WDWA event this past weekend. And that was on Saturday. And then on Sunday, on Friday night, we were actually excited we got to see the micro wrestling. And that was such a great show. Those guys always put on a good show. They are phenomenal. And you know, the thing I think I like the most about those guys is that they do pretty much everything the big guys do. You know, you can see them throw each other across the ring, throw each other on top of each other, get up on the ring thing and jump off onto each other. And, you know, anything that you would see in the WWE, you're going to see in micro wrestling too. Those guys are phenomenal athletes. You know, don't let their size fool you. They are awesome.
Yeah, they are. And they are a great mix of actual wrestling athletes and a great mix of comedy as well. I mean, they actually do mix a lot of stuff in there. So it's always great to get to see them. But when you talk about mixing actual business and the comedy and everything together, Wrestle Talk Podcast is one of the places that's great at doing that. And so one thing we always like to do is to honor the greatest country around, being America. So if you'd remove your hats, place your hands over your hearts for the singing of our national anthem. Brings a tear to your eye or blood to your ears every time, one of the two, I tell you.
Or both, because you're probably crying because of the blood in your ears.
Shout out to David Owens checking in. Always great to have you there, champ. You know, the FWWC hardcore champion after dethroning me after 3 years. But, you know, I'm happy for you. Congratulations, champ. So, Gabe, if you can hear me, you can put up a thumbs up whenever you're ready. Oh, I see a thumbs up. I think we might have him. Let's give this another try. You are muted, I believe, sir. Are you there?
You're muted.
I'm not hearing you.
Check your mute.
It shows that he's not muted, but I'm not hearing him. Okay. Well, keep working on that microphone. I don't know if you'll have to go out and come back in, maybe. I don't know. Give it a try. I will say, though, a little bit ago, you were working on things, and you looked better than you've ever looked before. You were a hell of a lot prettier than you are now. But yeah, go ahead and keep working on that, and we'll check back with you here in a little bit. So, looks like he is still working through some issues, but let's go ahead and we'll keep rolling on here, and let's get ready to get into some high spots here.
Mic check, mic check. Yeah! All right. Wrestle Talk Podcast. DJ Money. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to High Spots, where we pop news like lamb chops. We talk shop, coming through the screens of a laptop and non-stop like I'm running speakers of blacktop. We hit hard like chair shots and backdrops. Like a clock flash, look like a barely fly. Now that's hard. We up to speed while they stay slow. Wrestle Talk Podcast. Now they know we about to start the show.
All right. So let's go ahead and let's see if the gremlins that have Gabe's system messed up. Let's see if they've got the randomizer messed up tonight too. I don't know. Let's see how this goes. All right. Well, we're going to start hitting hard right off the bat. So, using the world famous Wrestle Talk podcast 5 super kick scale, how surprised were you to see Brock Lesnar return and destroy Oba Femi? So that's 5 super kicks if you were just absolutely surprised. Only 1 super kick if you weren't really surprised at it. Or, no super kicks if it was one of those things, I just knew that was coming. So
I think for me, I'd have to say about 2.5 kicks. I've never been a big fan of Brock Lesnar. He's just never been one of my favorites. I think when he wrestles, he's more an MMA style wrestler than he is a wrestler's wrestler. A few holds here or there, but most of it is brutality with him. Throwing people around, dropping people. I mean, the F5, yeah, that's a heck of a move. But it's really just Brock has never really been one of my favorites. So when I saw him retire, I was like, yeah, okay, no biggie, no big loss. I mean, I just wasn't that impressed. I did give mad respect because it felt like he passed a torch to Oba. But I just didn't believe it 100%, even though I gotta say, if you looked at his manager, Paul Heyman, you'd have to believe it because Paul really sold it. Paul is a really good actor, and he really, really sold Brock's, retirement. But I wasn't thoroughly convinced. But the way I thought he'd come back would be something like, they were all talking about his next big match was supposed to be against Gunther, and Gunther would retire him. So I kind of thought maybe he retired quick so Gunther couldn't get him. But then I figured Gunther would run his mouth. Gunther would come back and talk about, oh, you're chicken of me, you're afraid of me, blah, blah, blah. And he'd come back to kind of show Gunther that he wasn't what he thought. Gunther, you're not big and bad or whatever. But instead, he came back after Oba. So I was a little surprised that he came back over Oba and he didn't come back to kind of shut Gunther up. I kind of thought that was going to play into it if he came back. But I don't think I kind of really bought the entire retirement thing. I kind of thought he was up to something, or something would happen to bring him back, even if it was just for one more match. So, but with this, look, if he beats Oba, then they've got 1-1 and there's going to have to be a rubber match. So are they really setting it up for what? I mean, you can't really say SummerSlam because then again, maybe so. Maybe SummerSlam is going to be that third match and it's going to wind up being a thing where if he does lose to Oba, he retires. And if he wins, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just look for there to be a rubber match coming. And I really think Oba's going to lose this next match, and that's going to set up the rubber match. So it was kind of 2.5. I almost bought it, but I wasn't quite there. I just wasn't quite there.
All right. So let's check in with Gabe here and see if.
Am I coming in?
Oh, we can hear you now.
Finally. Jesus Christ, man. Working with all this. Jesus,
Welcome
Mary
to the
and
show.
Joseph. The king is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. We here. I didn't even plan on wearing this today. It just happened to. For those who haven't seen it.
So, well, welcome in. Now that your sound's working, Gabe.
That ain't the only thing that's working because I got a little thing. Not to cut you off, Haas. Just a little something special that the fans of the FWWC and our members in the locker room are aware of. But if we get me on solo screen here real quick, because it's finally here after many, many, many weeks of anticipation. The new and improved Warriors Heart Championship. Just want to make sure everybody can see that. The glare is really bad. Yeah, there we go. I just want to throw this out there too. All that silver, I added that. But just want to take a moment to thank our one and only Will Bromlow, Ace, for this fantastic commission when the UPS, the United Postal Service, isn't screwing up his orders. Be sure to order yourself one from Doomed Outfitters. But ladies and gentlemen, the rightful place for the championship that I have retained at Universe Mania. Now, we were talking about something, right?
Yeah. So we were saying our high spots question here is using the world famous WTP Super Kick scale 1 to 5. How surprised were you to see Brock Lesnar's return and destroy Oba Femi?
So it's asking me how surprised I was, or how much.
Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 5, one kind of being, I pretty much knew it was going to happen, but a little surprised, or 5 just, oh my God, they absolutely got me.
I'm going to make my thoughts known.
I did 2.5. And I said, I thought if he came back, it would be because actually Gunther would probably run his mouth, he retired, so I couldn't retire him and blah, blah, blah. And I thought he'd come back for that. So I'm not surprised to see him come back. I was a little surprised to see him go after Oba again. And I think there's going to wind up being a rubber match there.
I can't help but agree with you, Susie, because for one, I had the sneaking suspicion that Brock would come back at some point, whether it was going to be the official retirement in Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was expecting it. I wasn't expecting him to do it with Gunther or Oba. So, honestly, if you had to give it to me, I'm right in the same ballpark as you, 2.5, because it surprised me, but not a lot. And unfortunately, the surprise is that, he's getting his run back. Got it. Cool. I guess we're doing this again because it's supposed to happen in Italy, right? The next pay-per-view?
Yeah.
They really seem hell-bent on selling us the exact same card. So, let's make sure we get this match on the card, too. Forget Mania. You guys didn't have to pay for it. We're going to do it again anyways.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm in the same ballpark as Susie. I know that's the boring answer, but, yeah, 2.5 super kicks. It wasn't as much as I needed it to be. It was surprising in that I was like, oh, okay, cool. Lesnar's back, I guess. Because I'm in the same ballpark that I don't like Lesnar that much either.
No,
Thank you, Gemini.
I'm not
My
a huge
phone
fan.
just went off, dude. What the heck? My Gemini just went off.
And what about you, Haas?
For me, honestly, I'll give it a little bit more than the 2.5. I'll give it maybe 3.5. I mean, I was surprised when he appeared to retire because I wasn't expecting that to happen right then. And I was kind of surprised when he came back, but at the same time, the way that Oba just destroyed Brock, something just didn't sit well with that, because nobody's ever destroyed Brock like that. And to see, well, I don't know. I don't know that Goldberg,
to a degree.
I don't know that they really destroyed him quite the way Oba did, but I just, I don't see when it happened. I just couldn't see Brock taking his ball and running off like a pussy, which is kind of what he did. But at the same time, I could see, okay, yeah, I'm kind of pissed off because they made me look so weak, because they really did. But yeah, I'll give it about a 3.5. But him coming back, I didn't expect it to be against Oba again right off.
We need to unpack this real quick, because as much as I have a lot to say about Brock Lesnar, I think you guys have this wrong idea about him being booked the way that he does. Because despite the fact that Lesnar doesn't put a whole lot of people over in the sense that of matches that he doesn't put people over, The man can sell his ass off. He is not above making somebody that he likes look good. That's the key factor, though, is that he has to like you to put you over. Because if I rewatched it recently, you can find it on YouTube. Rewatch Samoa Joe versus Brock in SummerSlam. He sold the shit out of that coquina clutch.
Well,
Yes,
like I said,
I mean,
if you really want to talk though about the person who sold it, who really made it look like it was real and it was happening, you got to give that to Heyman. Because when Brock took those shoes off and he was sitting in that ring crying, Heyman was just like, holy crap, what's going on? You know, and he truly, if anybody sold that, anybody made it look real, it was Heyman. You got to give it to Heyman. But then again, how can you really trust Heyman? I mean, Heyman's always up to something.
so yeah, but I don't know. Just like I say, I'm kind of in between on it myself, and I know you guys are kind of a little less surprised than I tend to be on it, but
No, see,
you know,
I just wanted to mention this, though. The reason that it seemed like Heyman sold the shit out of it was because I don't think he was selling it. I think he genuinely was caught off guard by him doing that. That it was like, that was an audible. That was like, oh, are we doing this now? Okay, I guess he's retiring.
so
But I will give you the fact that anytime Brock has been on the back foot, Heyman's expressions are the thing that do sell it. Because this man looks like the world is ending. My favorite is the Goldberg match, because this man was just screaming at the top of his lungs. He's like, no, no.
yeah, Heyman can sell. I that's one thing you got to give Heyman. He can sell. He is awesome on the mic. You know, he's an all around good person in wrestling.
It is the art of the manager that I think is sorely lacking in this day and age. Because we have a lot of female valets, but we don't have a lot of male valets akin to our Bobby Heenans. You know, the classics where they were like, they advocated for them, but they were also really smart. And I think it's something that is sorely lacking in WWE at the moment. And I guess let's put this up before we jump into the next high spot, because I always like to get the most out of this. So do you guys think this is – so Susie, you had mentioned it. You think this is going to go into the rubber match. Yeah. Is it bad that I want Oba to win again just for the sake of dominating? Because it's like, oh, we think Lesnar's going to come back and we really want to believe it, but then Oba manages to beat him again.
You know, I would love to see Oba. I like Oba. There's just something about Oba that I like. And I can't explain it because he's basically the next Brock Lesnar. And so
he's the first Oba Femi. That's who he is.
Right. But I love Oba. I really do. I like Oba. I think he's genuine. And I think that he's just all around, you know, a great guy, a great wrestler. I think that he's very entertaining. And I never thought Brock was that way. Brock is just brutality. Come out there and beat somebody up and walk away. And, you know, if it didn't really suit him, he wasn't going to do it. That was just, I mean, look what he did with The Undertaker. He was supposed to lose that match, but he decided, no, he was going to be the blemish on the Taker's record. And so he did it. And that was kind of a shame, you know? I mean, you can't play the game. You've got to, you know, rewrite it your way. Okay, whatever. But
I think it's more that he was the one who signed off on saying yes. Because you think about all the people who were offered to end the streak and they had too much respect for the streak and the Undertaker as a whole. Then Lesnar was the one. He's like, okay, do you want to be the one to end the streak? And he said, sure, I don't care. Like, it feels like an afterthought for Lesnar. And that's the part that disrespects you the most, is that you feel like, oh, well,
yeah,
good to know you respect this to the degree to feed your ego when you're already over. Because trust me, when I'm coming where you're coming from, Susie, because I hate the fact that we have fed so many wrestlers to Brock Lesnar. It's like, he didn't need that. You know, out of all the times that he's wrestled people where it's like he ate Ricochet, he ate Kofi when he was still WWE champion and beat him like 7. Somebody described it as you wanted Kofi to look like a good champion even though he was losing. And they did. They booked him to jump into the mouth of a killer whale. Like, that's all that happened. And it's like, why? To make Brock look strong? It's like, congratulations. He's been doing that for the past 10 years. Like, he
Brock
doesn't
is
need
the
validation.
Jaws of the WWE.
I'm saying, like, he doesn't need validation in this level of his career. He's established.
Exactly.
He's a legend. Whether I or you like him or not, Susie, he's established. He's there. And unfortunately, he has a very vocal fan base to where we can't refute it regardless of how we feel about it. But that being said, Lesnar absolutely buys his own hype to a degree that I think is too much.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, from what I've seen, his daughter is exactly like him. And, oh, my God, she looks just like him. I'm just like, I don't know. And I've been hearing that she's actually thinking of coming into wrestling, too. And if she does, all I can say to the women's locker room is, watch out. Because if she's anything like her dad,
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely going to be something interesting to watch. Hopefully, I don't think that's I don't think that's something we can debate whether it's going to be interesting or not. But I think that his daughter coming in, if she does, that's definitely something to keep an eye on. So, are we ready for another topic here?
I think so. I just wanted to kind of end with this, and that is the fact that while it's not ideal for Oba to lose, in that it kind of seems like they're just setting it up for him to lose because they need the rubber match for the third one. And then the question becomes, well, will Lesnar go out on a W before really retiring, or will he put the new guy over? I think this direction, despite how formulaic it feels and repetitive it feels, is necessary to keep Oba where he needs to be. Because the biggest problem that I had with Oba winning, and I loved it, like you guys know, I was the one advocating for it. I love that he destroyed Lesnar in 2 minutes, is the fact that when you get this much momentum behind a guy like this, and you get this much approval, it's only destined to fail in the worst way, which is that they push him too quickly and then the fans reject him immediately. So this way, at least he gets a dub, or he gets an L to somebody he already beat concisely, and it keeps him fresh in the it gives him an L, but it also keeps him fresh in the mind of the fans, because after losing, now people are going to get more upset because they're going to be like, oh, of course Lesnar came back after retiring and beating Obafemi just to get his W back. Fuck Lesnar. So it creates an enemy for Oba to conquer, and now people are going to like him even more. So hopefully, if the rubber match happens, Oba's the one to win it, and then he gets even more stock out of it as a result, because he's like, I'm not going to take that lying down. Jury's still out on whether that's going to be a good decision or not, but we'll see after Italy.
So,
well, he told Heyman last night, he said, tell Brock, I'm not coming to retire him. I'm coming to kill him.
Kill him. Yeah. So, oh, my God.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, go Oba, go Oba.
I love that he's just M'Baku from Black Panther. Just a you bald-headed demon. I love that shit. I live for that.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Like I said, I love Obafemi, and I really hope that in the long run, this story puts him more over than just kind of makes him just kind of eh.
I just need to see him coming out going, Mbafa, rah, ooh, ooh, Mbafa, rah, ooh, ooh. Just the whole crowd getting into it. Just this huge crowd of people doing that shit. My question is, when are we going to
like Arsene's going to have a new entrance in the FWWC?
Just throwing it out there, because MLW Fusion's a thing, and I'm mad that I didn't put a question in for this, but I need Alex Kane versus Obafemi. I need the Conqueror versus the Boomaye movement. The Boomaye. It's just suplex for days. It's going to be two dudes dropping each other on their heads. Just make it happen. I don't know who I have to tell to do this. Make it happen.
So, You might notice down in the corner, there's a little poll down there that is the question we're talking about. So how surprised were you about Brock Lesnar returning and destroying Obafemi? We put the scale of 1 to 5. I couldn't put 5 options there, unfortunately. So we've got 1, which is not very, 2, so, or 3, yeah, they got me. I mean, 3, which would be 5 super kicks, which is, yeah, they got me.
I'd say it's 1 to 2, 3 to 3.5, and then 4 and 5. Like, it's between that sort of area. Where you land on it, let us know.
But yeah, so put in the comments what you think. What are your thoughts on this? And we'd love to hear from you. So, all right, let's go ahead and see what else the randomizer has for us here tonight. One second, I got it. Okay. With all the recent tag team releases, would hiring Enzo and Big Cass be a smart reset of the tag team division or a bad nostalgia play? Because it is rumored that Big Cass, his contract as Big Bill in AEW is soon to be expiring and not going to be renewed. So it's rumored that WWE is in talks to bring him back and that they're trying to bolster their tag team division. So they're looking to bring Enzo back with him and reunite Enzo and Big Cass. So, do we think that this is a smart reset or is it just a bad nostalgia play?
Can I just ask whose question this was? Was that either of yours?
I threw it out there.
You threw it out there. Did you add Enzo and Cass later, or did you just ask in general?
No, I have read that Enzo and Cass are the ones that they are trying to bring back.
Okay. I feel a certain way about this question, so I want you to lead us in this because I need to hear this train of logic and what you think. Because you came to this question because you felt a certain way about whether they would come back or not. So let me ask you this. Do you think they will come back? And secondly, how do you think that will work? How do you think that will turn out if they did?
I have heard, and there again, this is just rumor mill, but I have heard that they actually have been able to get along with each other and squash the beef that they had when they left WWE. So if they've been able to squash it and remain friends, then could I see them coming back as a tag team? Sure, I could see it happening, but do I really want to see it? No, not really. In my opinion, it's a bad nostalgia play by WWE. They released Motor City Machine Guns. They released the Wyatt Six. The New Day asked to be released and it was set free.
They saw the writing on the wall.
So you see the teams that they've let go of and kind of, in my opinion, took the tag division down because who do you really have left that people really give a crap about? And now we want to bring in Enzo and Big Cass that I don't think people are going to give a crap about either. It's just, I think it's a nostalgia play. I don't think it's going to help. If anything, I think it'll probably hurt the tag division bringing these two back. So, hopefully it's just rumor mill that they're talking with them and trying to get them to come back. But knowing WWE and some of the dumb moves that they've made, I could see them trying to do that, but I'm not interested.
Well, I'm just going to jump in and say I'm with the nostalgia end of it, and to me, if you're going to bring back those guys, why did you let some of the ones go that you let go? I mean, let's be real. There were some teams that got let go that had great potential. These guys, they've been in there before. It didn't work. They, they couldn't follow the rules. They couldn't do what was supposed to be done. They got let go because of whatever the reasoning was. Do you really think it's going to be any different? And are you bringing these guys back really and truly? Because there's got to be more talent out there. There's got to be different talent out there that they could get. I mean, they're looking at the independent scenes for some guys. Heck, I can tell you right now, there's a couple of teams in the WDWA. WWE would be awesome to have and would be better superstars and come along better and be better groomed by WWE than two old guys from the way back when. Enzo was a joke before and he's going to be a joke again. But that's just me. I mean, that's just my thought on it. But personally, I think that Enzo they don't need to bring him back. Find other younger and more upcoming talent.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to bring Big Cass back, that I think that's still a nostalgia thing, but I think that wouldn't be a totally bad move. But bringing Enzo back and putting them back as a tag team, I'm not interested at all.
All right. So is Gabriel Arsene allowed to give his piece about this? Because I'm
all means,
feeling a certain way about this. If you guys couldn't tell,
no matter how wrong you are, you're welcome to have your opinion.
It's not even about that, and I'm going to avoid that slight, okay? And it's because of the fact that ultimately, I'm gonna calm down a little bit so people can understand the thrust of my meaning. That ultimately, what makes this question so frustrating and annoying and offensive to me personally is because of the logic in that it's not even about Enzo and Cass. It's not about the bad publicity. It's not about the fact that Big Cass was in AEW and whether that's going to happen, that they squashed the beef, how this is going to resonate with the people, but also from a PR perspective. It's the fact. It's the undeniable truth that this decision being made to bolster their tag roster as a result of a problem they created. I'm like, you have enough money in your bank account to bring back these old heads who aren't even, you guys keep using the word nostalgia. And it's like nostalgia is the Hardy Boys. Nostalgia is Edge and Christian. Nostalgia is, I'll take Tatanka and Roddy Piper, or I'm trying to remember who was on a tag team at one time. But it's one of those things where they have to be established. It's like it has barely been a decade to when these two were a thing. And yes, they were over, but they are the biggest what if of professional wrestling because everything fell apart for them. And thankfully, Big Bill was able to make something out of it. He's in AEW. He's a former tag team champion. He's working in Ring of Honor. He's doing these things. Cass managed to keep himself relevant somehow, some way. But it's the fact that this is a problem you created, that you want to play the hits for dudes who never were a hit. They were a one-hit wonder. And that you want to do that in the face of the Motor City Machine Guns, the Wyatt Six, and even the just newly came back, the Street Profits. So I'm like, your tag roster wasn't hurting until you got rid of people. You made this decision, WWE. And now you want to be like, well, this is how we fix the tag roster that we shot in the foot to begin with. So, to make a long story short, that I think this is not a good decision in that I don't know who this is for. I don't know who this is intended to be booked towards. I don't know what the end goal is, whether it's just for a cheap pop to get everybody to spell soft again, or if they plan on giving them a long-term return where they become tag team champions. And jury's still out on whether or not they're going to be cooperative in the way that they handle things and they don't take themselves too seriously when they come back, but they'll be grateful. But yeah, no, I give this -1 super kick if we're going to put this on the FWW, or excuse me, the Wrestle Talk podcast scale,
I give it 0.
yeah, that's where we're at. Like it's less than worthless to me. That's bad.
I mean, I want to see them go forward, not backward. And that to me is what this is. You're bringing these guys back from the past. You know, look, and everybody knows I've always said, and if by chance he's watching, hey, I'm waiting. But, you know, I'm a big Stone Cold Steve Austin fan. Huge fan. Okay? I've always said he's my next husband. He doesn't know it yet unless he's watching by some strange met. But, you know, and I know he's married, so I'll wait. But, you know, he is my next husband. But, you know, it's like, would I want him to come back for another run as champion? No. He's retired. He's moved on with his life. He's done things that are, you know, he's doing phenomenal. He has his own podcast. He's got his own, you know, stuff he's doing. He's happy on his ranch. Does he need to come back? No, not really. I mean, if he came back now with some of the talent that's out there, would he have to job to them, or would he be able to be the same Stone Cold he once was? You know, it's like, also I'm a huge Redskin fan. You know, we had Joe Gibbs come back after a long time, a second run as the you know, as the general manager of the team. I think he took a legacy that he built before he left and just crushed it. And that to me is what bringing these older guys back, bringing back the past guys. Anything they did good before is going to pale in comparison to what they're going to do now. And it's going to make the past irrelevant to what they are now.
And I couldn't agree more. And the only thing that truly validates this as an idea is if Enzo and Cass are going to put that ass to work. That they are going to show up to the company, they're going to work their way slowly back up, reestablish their names in the face of the casual viewer. Because let's be honest here, how long has it been since anybody talks about this? We're diehard wrestling fans, and we are just now keeping up with what they're doing. I do, but that's because I'm the biggest nerd on this podcast, and I keep up with everybody. But it's a very different story from Billy What's-His-Name. You know, that just in Milwaukee, wherever he's watching WWE at, that he's like, who are these guys? Like, who are these faux Long Island looking dudes?
Right. And you've got a younger crowd out there now that doesn't know who these guys were before, or they would have to go back and watch what they did before in order to see what they are. And then when they see that compared to what they're doing now, they'd be like, this isn't what I want.
And I can't help but be reminded of previous instances where, you know, old time wrestlers, and there's no disrespect to the originals. I don't want anybody to say I'm the young lion with the old soul for a reason. But I'm reminded of classic wrestlers who came back at a time where whether they won the tag titles or not was a good decision is up to you guys. But I'm reminded of when the Dudley Boys came back. What exactly did they accomplish past 2016?
Well, look at the Bella Twins. Okay, they come back. One gets hurt. Paige comes in, and really?
But what's good is that they can pivot from that, and the women's roster needs some names. If we're being real here, like I say this as somebody who advocates for the women, and they have a tag division now, so they have something to work with. And what's nice is that they can make a storyline out of this, even though she got injured. And then I'm reminded of the New Age Outlaws when they came back, and I'm just thinking, like, you know, I guess a perfect, comparison would be if Brian Kendrick and Paul London came back now. How many people are going to actually know about what they did in the WWE prior to coming back? How many of them are actually going to be excited about what's going on? And just overall, how would the product turn out? Like, what matches do Big Cass and Enzo offer when they come back? Like, yeah, they have the mic skills, but do they still... Enzo busted his head like 10 years ago. And we're expecting him to do even better now? It's been 10 years and he couldn't wrestle then? You see where I'm coming from? I want to ask both of you. You see where I'm coming from?
I completely agree. So I mean, yeah, I see where you're coming from, and to me, it's just ridiculous. The names that have been released, and then you look at bringing somebody like that back. Why? You know, it's just
You had a
You'd have
decent
been better
roster.
off.
I let people go and bring others back. I mean, why did you let them go in the first place? Is it money? Because if it's money, if it's that you're not doing as well as you thought you were, and you can bring back the older guys for less than what you're paying the younger guys, are the viewers going to stick around? Do the viewers really want to see it?
Well, and
Well, some of them, like I believe the New Day, they asked to be released, but they asked to be released because they were asked to take less money. And the reason they were asked to take less money, and I can see both sides of this, I can see why the New Day would say, okay, you're going to cut my pay, then I'm out of here. But I can also see they asked to have people take less money because they're doing less house shows now. They're doing less appearances than what they used to do. So these guys aren't having to work as much. They aren't having to travel as much. So WWE just felt, well, if they're going to work less and they're going to travel less and they're putting in less time, why are we paying them the same thing? Which makes sense to a degree. But
I guess, but that degree is the fact that whether or not Kofi and Xavier are willing to work, and I think it's safe to say they are. So I'm questioning: is this that they don't want to work these house shows and all these independent and all these individual matches, or is this TKO saying you can't work these matches? Like,
no, it's TKO or WWE, one or the other, is just not doing them anymore. They're not booking these house shows quite as much anymore. They aren't making these guys travel as much anymore. So they're making it where it's not as heavy a schedule on them.
So they saw the writing on the wall and realized we're getting gypped. And partially, I'm putting my tinfoil hat when I say this, and then we can probably move on. But it sounds to me like TKO did this on purpose, that they are deliberately making sure they don't book these guys as much so they can phase out any of the non-main eventers. Any of the people that don't get us 6 figures or more, get them out of here. Who cares about work rate? Who cares about professional wrestling in the fucking professional wrestling industry? We have Logan Paul to sell our pay-per-views.
But if you're looking at, okay, you're going to look at the money situation. Let me ask you something. As a wrestling fan, would you rather see a match where Logan Paul and Austin take on Enzo and that guy, or would you rather see them take on Kofi and Xavier? I personally would rather see Kofi and Xavier. I think it would be a better match. I think I would be more wanting to see. I would pay more to see that than I would Enzo and his partner. You're going to tell me, oh, we're going to have this pay-per-view and Enzo and his partner are going to go up against the Vision for the tag titles? I'm not paying $50 to watch that. I'm not going to go pay $100 a seat to go watch that.
And I just want to add this because I understand the occasional release. These things happen. These are not new. And it's one thing if they're releasing them because they didn't have any plans for them, right? It's a whole other thing when you drop the ball. And I feel like we would all not be having this discussion, or we would feel a very different way about it if all these people were still in WWE. If the Wyatt Six, the Motor City Machine Guns, and New Day were still there, how differently do you think you would feel about this question? Do you think they would spice up the tag division a lot differently if everybody that we were just talking about was still here?
No, not really. I think they'd be bringing them in as jobbers, but that would just be my thing.
I would still be for bringing Big Cass back, but not Enzo. I just never was much on Enzo.
I certainly think they would offer more to a tag team roster, at least in terms of merch sales and in terms of at least stage presence, if we actually had a tag roster that wasn't 4 teams right now. Because the worst part is WWE has talent and it's divided. And okay, yeah, it's divided in a good way. I'd rather know that Eric and Ivar and Eric and Ivar and the Creed brothers and Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate are in AAA making a name for themselves, putting on main event caliber matches, or at least establishing themselves as a tag team, than being fed to the wolves as far as being thrown out to wherever they happen to end up in their future endeavors. But I'm also annoyed at the fact that I'm like, you have these new guys. This isn't even old talent. You know what I mean? These are NXT call-ups that you brought in, and you're squandering them. I'm like, why are they not on the main roster? Why are they not challenging for the tag division? You're clearly hampering for it. You had to bring the Usos back, for God's sakes.
That's the problem, though, with WWE. They don't know what to do with some of their talent. When they have somebody that could be a big name and big draw, they hold them back. I mean, how many times has Braun Strowman been in the WWE, thrown out there a few times, and then let go again? I mean, now he's doing a show about eating everything on a menu in every restaurant he goes into. I mean, come on. This man is a big man, and he should be one that's going up against people like Oba Fleming. You know, let's bring back the other guy, the Australian dude.
I think we just lost your sound for some reason.
Microphone. Yeah, I can't. Neither of us can hear you. I thought it was just me for a second. Nope.
There's a button there. Check it and make sure it's not flashing on your cord.
Is this better?
There you go.
Okay. But I was saying, like, bring back Auxilla. Put him up against Oba Fleming. These are big men that WWE just doesn't know what to do with. They have absolutely no idea what to do with certain talent. I mean, and when they have good talent, they bury them, or they use them in a way that just doesn't make sense until the talent gets frustrated and leaves and goes somewhere else. And then take Ricochet, for instance. How good is Ricochet? I mean, personally, I liked Ricochet, but WWE never did anything with him. He left. He went into, was it AEW he's at now? He's getting to be a big name over there. They're letting him shine. They're letting him do what he does. And he's a bigger name over there than he ever was in the WWE because they know what to do with him. WWE didn't. And it's a shame.
And Gabe, you were trying to remember Tatanka's tag team partner. AJ says he thinks it was Bam Bam Bigelow back in '95. So, but yeah. So, have we talked enough on this one? Are we ready to go to the next one, or? All right, let's see what else the randomizer spits out for us tonight. And so if whoops, I forgot to take that part off. With Stardom and CMLL joining AEW's Forbidden Door, is AEW building the ultimate professional wrestling super show? So, Gabe, why don't you start us off on this one?
All right. Well, for starters, get the tinfoil hat back out, because yours truly is already speculating this. Because for those not in the know of the one and only Major League Wrestling, the young lion with the old soul has got you informed as to what is happening, and that is the fact that Major League Wrestling, as well as AEW, Stardom, CMLL, and any future partners of said relationship are going to be joining forces for the greatest matches ever, in that we have an opportunity at a glorious thing to happen. And I understand that the word Forbidden Door kind of lost a lot of meaning since things like the AAA acquisition in WWE, the partnership between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and TNA just working its way with whoever it decides to. And while I can't say that this is the greatest super show in a financial sense, Granted, I think a shitload of people are going to buy this pay-per-view. I think we have the opportunity at the ultimate crossover super show in that we have so much talent, and I only hope they stick the landing. Because with this many people, AEW has had its experience with these super cards before with its crossovers with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now we have way more talent being involved. Granted, we have seen an inclusion of CMLL stars and several Stardom stars as well. But we have an opportunity. What's up, Andrew Dowdy? We have an opportunity here to hopefully have a glorious creation where everything mixes perfectly and create something memorable, something that needs to be studied and understood in its ability to try and incorporate so many ideas that doesn't just feel like a marquee type thing, an exhibition where it's like, well, we have this guy and this guy fighting, but it's a friendly competition because we can't have a major storyline going into this, versus everything calculated and mixed into a fantastic thing that people will remember going forward, as opposed to too many cooks in the kitchen. Which is a very long way of saying, yes, I think it will be if they play their cards correctly. And the only reason I feel as strongly as I do about it is because for those who haven't been keeping with MLW, CMLL and Stardom have recently partnered with them before their re-debut on Fusion. Please sponsor me, MLW. I love you. I will be your rep forever until I die. And I only wonder just how many other people we're going to get as well. I can't imagine how many other people from MLW are going to be showing up at Forbidden Door. Because I don't know about you, but I think business would pick up if the one and only Killer Cross would show up at Forbidden Door this year. I think if somebody like Donovan Dijak and the Skyscrapers with Bishop Dyer would show up at Forbidden Door holding their MLW World Championships. But that's just me. If somebody like Matt Riddle showed up in a Battle Royale or in a multi-man match. But this is just me geeking out about it because when you have this many pieces, you want to play with all of them.
Yeah. Now, see, I tend to think it could be the Ultimate Super Show, but then, you can think too, WWE already has them and AAA. They did, was it World's End? So, they could have that again. And they could even add TNA into it because, they still have that alliance. So, I mean, there's the possibility of WWE putting on a big multi-person show just like it. And it all depends on how the show is put together and how the matches actually play out. Like you said, are they going to be storyline driven or are they just, well, let's throw these matches together one by one and see how people like it,
My biggest argument and the only question I want to follow up this question with for both of you is, what do you constitute as a super show? Is that a show that happens to be super in its execution, or is it super just based on the card and you jump in and you're gonna love it and the hype is there and they deliver and it hits on all cylinders and you can say for without a shadow of a doubt it's a 4-star pay-per-view? And for those who think, oh, he's saying 4 stars instead of 5, no, 4 stars is the record. That's all it is. It used to be 4 stars and that's when it mattered. Now everybody does 5 stars and 6 stars and the stars are meaningless. I rate everything on a scale of 4 stars.
I think that AEW knows how to use their talent better. I think that they, I don't think they have a better product per se, but I think they know how to use their talent better than what WWE does. However, a lot of AEW's talent is former WWE. So in a way, to me, AEW is just kind of, they're just putting new twists on WWE things. And WWE is just regurgitating old storylines. I mean, look at the whole thing with Roman and Jacob Fatu. It's just Roman and Jay Uso all over again. It's the same thing, the tribal, combat, blah, blah, blah. It's all the same. It's just, it's a lot of people refer to wrestling as a man's soap opera. And if you watch soap operas, and I'm not going to lie, I watch them occasionally. And, it's one of those things where you see the same storyline over and over and over. First it's this guy and this girl here. Then it's his daughter, her daughter, and this one's son. And then it's this one and this one. And it's the same thing, just different people. And in a way, that's kind of what WWE does. And AEW, they just kind of piggyback off of it. But let me ask this too. You were naming the alliances that WWE has. Which one, AEW or WWE, has the New Japan alliance?
AEW.
AEW? Okay, because
it's a really weird thing where, because it's not like Marvel versus DC to a degree. It's one of those things where, because there's multiple options between wrestling companies, it's not Coke versus Pepsi, it's Coke versus Sprite, where they're both soda, but they have different priorities in terms of how they book things. Because for those who are unfamiliar, King of Road style is very different from Strong style. So Pro Wrestling Noah is very different from New Japan Pro Wrestling, not just from a talent roster, but from the way that they book, the way that they film. So it's one of those things where, we have something like the AAA Mega Championship being defended on AEW a couple years ago, but now AAA is owned by WWE and Dominic Mysterio is defending it on WWE TV. So it's one of those things where...
And his dad is the GM.
Yeah, and then it's the parallel. So it's that WWE has the AEW, or WWE has AAA, AEW has CMLL, WWE has Pro Wrestling Noah, AEW has New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then so on and so forth. I don't know who WWE is paired with when it comes to Joshi Wrestling, aka Stardom. So I don't know if they have like Marigold or one of the other ones, Tokyo Joshi Pro. I'm really flexing my nerd muscles here tonight. Point is,
well, I know for a fact that that one of the things Asuka did when she left was she intends to go back to New Japan Wrestling to do some stuff with them. So in a way,
have a division now. So.
Yeah, I mean, so in a way, if you look at it, she kind of left WWE and went to AEW. I mean, if you really want to get technical about it, she's going to go do some New Japan stuff, and then when she's done there, is she coming back to WWE, or will we next see her in the States on AEW? I mean, and maybe that's another hot topic we should discuss at another time. But, it's just, to me, I think the comparison is just, it's like comparing apples and oranges because, both have their strong points and both have their weak points. And the unfortunate thing is that what's weak in one is strong in the other. And unfortunately, that's the way it goes.
And see, in my opinion, when you talk about an ultimate super show, it would be a show where multiple companies can come together and bring their fans into this show and into the stories and put on good stories with good storylines, intermixing, and when it walks out, it's not, yeah, I went to this WWE show and they had all these AAA guys come in. Or I went to AEW and they had CMLL come in. I went to this show and these three companies put on this awesome show. And you can't exactly say it was any one company because they were all just intermixed well enough that, yeah, there may have been one company that's the title sponsor, but overall, they all just put on a good show and a good story, and all the fans came out as winners in this, and to me, that would be the ultimate super show. I don't care, who would put it on, but that would be the way.
I think what Haas means, just in layman's terms, just because we got to dumb it down for the general masses, hardcore Haas. You're too philosophical about it. What he means is the fact that a super show should be something in which, even if you have zero knowledge of the information about a certain wrestler, the hype is enough to get you involved. And I think that's something where WWE is lacking only in its star power presence. Because yes, they are partnered with AAA, but realistically, outside of Dominic Mysterio, how many people that are major players in WWE are showing up at the AAA cards?
Well, not just that. I mean, you look at the partnership they've had with TNA,
Exactly.
and you had the crossover from TNA and WWE where you did see stars from each on the other show, and you saw titles on the other show. But at the same time, how many people really cared that, I got to see a WWE match on TNA? Yeah, they didn't.
Not just that, but it's the fact that TNA lost their belts first. So it's one of those things where I'm just kind of like, yeah, you're really showing your faith in this other company that you're rivaling with and giving everybody what they want when you make sure that your NXT talent wins their world championship, because that's how you view them. They're not a genuine threat to your roster, just your developmental talent. Say what you want about AEW, and I want to be on record saying this. Say what you want about AEW, guys, but at the end of the day, at least when they book a crossover pay-per-view, they don't bury talent from another company, or at least, and bury is a strong word, but they don't put their talent over. Yes, I understand between New Japan and AEW, things have been kind of bumpy, that it seems like a lot of the AEW talent are the ones getting the better of the New Japan Pro Wrestling, regular. But when I think about a lot of the classics, and when I think about one of my favorites, which is the original Forbidden Door, which if you guys haven't watched it, rewatch it because it's a fucking fantastic sit, is the fact that if they didn't have them on a one-on-one match, they put them in a multi-man match so that they could highlight and be cool and be spotlighted. So, Johnny whatever in the front row could see Shingo Takagi and go, I don't know who this guy is, but he's really cool. And
But,
that phrase "forbidden door," it kind of makes me think porn. I don't know why.
Look, generally what lands on the floor stays on the floor, okay, Susie? But that's neither here nor there.
But Aaron, AJ, he wants to know, why doesn't WWE bring back the Wrestling Classic with every single professional wrestling promotion with their championships and that tournament? It's just a nostalgia question he had in mind. But, something like that, it could be cool. But the only issue I have with a tournament like that is if you put the WWE World Championship on the line against somebody from, just say, AEW, since we're talking all the companies, damn well WWE is not going to let their title go to AEW.
Exactly.
And especially their top title. And that's where my problem comes in with shows like that, is a lot of times they're not going to take these cross promotions and have them be title matches and have their title changed to that other promotion. It just doesn't happen much. It's happened a little more recently than it did in years past, but it still doesn't happen frequent enough to make somebody go to these shows and go, wow, this title could change hands tonight. No, you're still going to the show going, this title ain't going to change hands tonight.
I think it says a lot about the way WWE views its status, and there's nobody refuting the fact that it doesn't. Leading industry in World Wrestling Entertainment for a reason, in the fact that nobody There are very rare instances in WWE where one of their championship belts has appeared somewhere else. And a lot of times it's something super obscure and super random, like the Junior Heavyweight Championship, the original showing up in the J Crown. Because let it be known that since partnering with TNA, when was the last time we saw a WWE Championship on their TV? Yeah. You can't remember it, can you?
It's been a while.
I'll give you all a solid 10 seconds just because I want people to see how palpable the silence is. Name the last time. Can you remember the last time a TNA championship appeared on a WWE wrestler? Because I can remember one.
Didn't the tag team championships come to WWE?
No, it was Trick Williams. Remember? He won the TNA World Heavyweight.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure, I think it was Sol Ruca. She won the women's championship. Meanwhile, what has TNA won?
See, I honestly haven't paid a whole lot of attention to those storylines just because I know they don't go anywhere.
See, and that's the issue. I think WWE has an issue of like, they want to do it and the marquee is really cool and the payoff is really cool, but there isn't a whole lot going forward from there. AEW at least has the benefit of having people like Konosuke Takeshita. They have people like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks who have appeared in New Japan Pro Wrestling. You have Hechicero and Claudio Castagnoli, where they have been in CMLL, so there's at least some precedent of introducing them. WWE is just like, oh, by the way, the Wyatt Six are on AAA. Like, it's cool, it's unexpected, but it's not established, and there's no follow-through. You guys see what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's still up in the air because it's way too close to the ball dropping. But I do think that AEW has the opportunity to put on something really special if they rack their head about it and really lock in about it. Because I don't want it to just be, okay, hey, we have wrestlers, check them out. Like, I understand every single match can't be that. But if you don't maximize the opportunity of somebody like Thekla, I'm hoping I'm getting her name right, AEW's women's champion, fighting somebody from Tokyo Joshi Pro or, Stardom, or, something like a Claudio Castagnoli versus a Hechicero on your card for the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship, or, your Konosuke Takeshitas versus whoever they decide to put on the card, because the thing that people forget is that he's a two-time champ right now. He's a NJPW TV champ and international champion at the same time. And even something as simple as MJF defending against somebody like Callum Newman or just somebody from New Japan or one of their partnerships that they happen to be doing later on, if you can make the most out of it, then you'll get the most out of it rather than letting the chips fall where they may. But that's just me. Young Lion with the old soul advocating for his nerdy stuff like always. I'm sure most people don't care about these things.
Well, and David Owens says, if TKO keeps fucking up with WWE, AEW is going to be on top, and it could very well happen. But, we've been talking some of these high spots questions here for about an hour now, so getting close to it. So, we definitely might come back to some later. We don't have a guest tonight, but we want to go in and review some of the happenings from this past weekend. But before we get to that, Dewan unfortunately can't make it tonight, but we still need to have an FWWC segment. In our FWWC segment, for anybody who doesn't know, shame on you. Now, the FWWC is Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter. We are a fantasy wrestling group on Facebook. We have a great time with each other. You can see here with myself, Susie, and Gabriel Arsene there. You see our championships. And, we do have real championships. They are not fake. They're real. and you can win these as well. So check us out on Facebook. But that we've been on a break here lately at the FWWC, but the FWWC will be getting back into action. And he's holding his over his shoulder right now. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're enjoying that hardcore championship. You know, I got a shoulder that looks kind of bare now, but that's okay. Due time, my friend.
I don't have an empty shoulder.
Proof or it didn't happen. I need to see a photo of you in the comment section right now.
But Dewan has sent me some information about us getting started, and he asked me to share this since he can't be here. So there is going to be matches again on the 8th. He's had to push them back. They were supposed to be the 1st. They had to get pushed back due to WWE being out of the country Monday night. So he made the executive decision to push those matches back a week. But I do have the official card right here. I have permission to drop it. And there are a few surprises on this card, ladies and gentlemen. So, without further ado, on the 8th, we are going to have Welcome Back. And there's a red light and little paw prints. Well, if you look at this card, I'm sure you can figure it out. Because the first match we're going to have is Nathaniel Jones versus Robert. Robert is back on the main roster now. And so he is ready to go. And he will be facing Nathaniel Jones. The second match on this card, you see the little red light up top. The light may be the wrong color, but that's okay. We have Rage versus Luke Justice. Rage, our new world's champion, gonna be facing the one and only Luke Justice.
Let me just say, Luke Justice is the longest reigning heavyweight champion as to date still. He was here before, he held that title, and he held it longer than anybody else. However, even with Luke holding that title as long as he did and still being the longest champ for that one, John still has him beat with the longest reigning, not just hardcore champion, but the longest reigning FWWC champion ever.
I thought y'all were going to mention the fact that Bishop almost came inches. Literal seconds from breaking the said record.
Days away.
Yeah, that it's like if he had beaten Rage, that was it. That he could have coasted and he would have broken the record.
And let me just say, if Bishop, if you're watching, or if you later see this on replay, way to go, man. You were an awesome champ. You did great. He did hold it for over a year. And he just he came so close to beating that record. But lo and behold, Luke Justice still holds it for now.
Yeah, but I'm sure participation trophy is as good as beating the record.
But then the final match on the card here is Brothers in Arms versus the Assassin Syndicate. Now, I know, Gabe, you are vested in that match in particular because that match involves you and your tag team partner. Now, the Brothers in Arms that's going to be there is not exactly the same Brothers in Arms that Sis and I won these titles from. You know, it is going to be Xander Payne and Bishop, not Jason Curtis and Bishop. So it'll be Xander Payne, who has joined the fold in Brothers in Arms, along with Bishop, making up the tag team of Brothers in Arms, going against Assassin Syndicate, One thing for sure you can guarantee is the Haas Mafia will be watching that match very closely because we don't know who's going to be going for these next. And so, we got to watch that match and see uh, if we feel either of these teams are worthy of a shot at these championships. I mean, we've already beat Assassin Syndicate once for these championships. So we'll have to see what happens.
Well, we beat Brothers in Arms, but when we beat Brothers in Arms for them, it was Bishop and Jason Curtis, Jason Curtis, and then Jason Curtis is who I took this from.
Now I have to ask only because I want to make sure I twist the knife as much as possible. Is Xander Payne the one who got laid out this past FED that we had between him, Convict and Luke Justice? Can we expect him to show up in his wheelchair, considering he is that fragile in his opportunity here? I mean, I understand you guys.
No, that wasn't Xander Payne.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I got that correctly. That was Sergeant Levi Grant.
Yes, that was Sergeant Levi Grant, who had tagged a few times with Xander Payne.
Okay, I see. Well, let's hope that bad luck doesn't rub off on him, because, quite frankly, welcome to the main roster, guy. But the top guys in the match, we can clearly see who's the weak link here in this tag team match. Because Jason Curtis, if he showed up, I could completely understand. He's a former international champion. He may not be it anymore. He may not be working his way up towards these sorts of things, but he has that credibility. Xander, as much as you want to parade around, is he the one that looks like the Red Hood from DC Comics? Or am I getting it mixed up with the other guy?
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so he is. So just throwing this out there, man, but you really want to work on who you are right now, because I can't distinguish you from the other dude wearing a mask down in the FED right now. So maybe make sure your colors and your promos are a little different before you step up to the Warriors Heart champion and a former Spartans Heart champion and Ace, okay? Because unfortunately, as good of a wrestler as Bishop is, he is not going to be able to pick up your slack, newbie. So I want nothing more than the best for you if you think you got the guts. And matter of fact, I don't mean to take opportunity here, but also the young lion with the old soul sees what's in front of him available. I've called out my opportunity for the World Tour for the Warriors Heart Championship, but we have an opportunity. We have a date coming up. So I want to throw this out to the other half of this tag team, Los Noches de los Grandes, AAA, Bishop Devontae D. I'm throwing the opportunity out there. If you think you can square up in an exhibition against Gabriel Arsene, I'd like to see you junto al Rio. But that's just me. I always like to make my moment when the mic's hot, ladies and gentlemen. So, didn't mean to take that from you, Haas.
And, you happen to mention the FED. There will be some matches coming up in the FED here very soon. And keep your eyes on the FED, because there might be some surprises coming. And, well, let's just say here soon, the FED might be booming, baby.
Oh.
You're not subtle.
Let me just say, with these matches that are going on the 8th, these look like some good matches, but one guy I want to welcome back to the main roster. And who knows, maybe we ought to hook up soon. And maybe you'd like a shot at this, Luke Justice. Because, I got to tell you, Luke and I have a little bit of a history here. But, Luke, you were once a very important guy here. And while you still hold the record as the longest reigning heavyweight champion, you've become irrelevant, buddy. But, hey, maybe, just maybe, you can find your relevancy again. Good luck on the 8th. I'll be watching.
Yeah, and if he decides to go for a championship, it has to be a singles championship because he couldn't reunite the Law Dogs for at least another 3 months. So, and that would be if, El Mata can get back across the border. I don't know.
Always has
Well,
to take a little shot like that.
I tell you, it's definitely good to see Luke back. I will give him that. But is he what he was before? He was almost untouchable before, but has he missed a step? Is there some ring rust in him? Because from what I've seen in the FED, there may be a little ring rust down there.
I don't think it's that necessarily. And I'm speaking on behalf of somebody who still needs his run back because Lawman Gabriel Arsene is not finished with you. All right. You may be the longest reigning world heavyweight champion, but you are squaring up to a 3-time Warriors Heart champion if we ever square up in the future. But see, I think for somebody like Luke, it's not necessarily that he's losing his edge. I think none of us are prepared for just how sharp some of the new prospects in the FED is, because we have people like Luke Justice, people like Robert, veterans who have to brush up on what they're doing, but they're finding their new flame to motivate them, their fighting spirit, so to speak. But I don't think any of us is prepared for what's lying in the wake with people like Andy Omega and the Convict. When people like that, who have no established name here in the FED, in the FWWC as a whole, get ones over people like a former world heavyweight champion, like a Robert, like a Luke Justice, I think we need to watch out. Now, obviously, I don't think they're going to be taking my championship anytime soon, but, Susie, be careful with that international championship because you got a target on your back. I'm just saying.
Hey, I've held this baby for 2 years and no one's been able to take it off me yet. So
I'll say the same thing about the hardcore championship. And what happened?
Well, hey, anybody could lose on any given night. It's definite. Can Andy Omega or the Convict come up and take this? Hey, it just depends. But I'll tell you one thing. For 2 years, it's been right here, and I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. But, when you talk about Luke Justice, there is one thing I do know about Luke Justice. He's still pissed off. But you know what, Luke? Let me just say this to you, bud, if you're listening. It's better to be pissed off than pissed on. And if you come after this, you're going to get pissed on.
Well, and I have to say is that I feel like if he squares up to somebody like the Badass American Diva, he's going to have both of those things happening to him. And unfortunately, I think Badass American Diva, you know how that's going to turn out for him. If you happen to be pissed off and pissed on, well, I'm sorry about your bad luck.
Hey, all I can say is I know a certain fella who at Universe Mania did a promo where he trashed me and Haas and walked out with an L instead of a W. But I won't go there and I won't say your name, Mr. Arsene.
You just said it.
Oh, did I? Oops.
But ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy the way that we banter back and forth here, the way that we just have it out for each other, tune into the FWWC. You get to see more of this, and you can join up. You can have a good time with us, and you can join in. But you mentioned being pissed off, and that's a perfect segue into our next segment.
It's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up. Everything is fun, everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, you're Life's on contract, your best bet's to stay away, motherfucker. It's just one of those days. It's all about the
It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for the Shoot and Shout segment here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. You know, the Shoot and Shout, we each get about 30 seconds or so just to go through anything that is just aggravating us or pissing us off or whatever, you know. So, and we just get to air it out. It doesn't have to be wrestling related. Can be, but it doesn't have to be. You know, it can be something as simple as too much air in the potato chip bag. You know, that's the one we love to use here because that has been a shoot and shout before. So, you know, it can be something that simple. It can be just anything. So, you know, Gabriel, why don't you start us off with the shoot and shout, because we know you always have something going.
See, I think the problem is that everybody likes the way that I yell about things because everybody agrees with me even if they don't want to admit it. And funnily enough, I just got done shopping today. So I think the one you brought up is a perfect example, which is the fact that shrinkflation is real, ladies and gentlemen. When you go to the grocery store and you see just how expensive things are, but how much you're actually getting for what you're spending, it's ridiculous. Because it's no exaggeration that I could fuel a submarine with how much oxygen is in the wasted air that's in my potato chip bags. Bag of Utz, it's his family size. It's about half the bag that actually has chips in it. Is it a family of one? Because I'm sorry, there's no way that this is happening as a result. There's no way that you're going to sit here and tell me that things haven't been getting more compact. Things haven't been trying to get us rid of as much space. You'll see gum packets. They'll use one little extra space where they can fit another pack of gum so you can get a little helpful thing to pull the tray of gum out. Like, yeah, oh, thank God. I needed grip with that. I had so much trouble sliding that out of the packaging. You have Gatorade changing the shape of its packaging so that they can fuel less ounces per bottle as far as what they give you for what you're, less bang for your buck, so to speak. And just appreciate it while it's still here, because it's only going to get worse, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking to you directly. Whoever's watching this podcast right now, who's listening to my voice in this moment right now, it's only going to get worse. So get used to the idea that you're going to get about two whatever, and the next thing that you're going to get 2 solid chips of Lay's the next time you decide to buy some at Wawa. You're going to get a solid sip out of your soda the next time you get it at a 7-Eleven. Or you're going to get 1/4, 1/8 of the piece of gum that you decide to get out of your Spears Mint, whatever you decide to eat. So just on behalf of the working class and on behalf of the people who are actually affected by this, and it's such a general term, but shrinkflation, billionaires, go fuck yourself. And the only reason, I'm sorry, I have to cut you off before you even speak. The only reason I feel this strongly about it is because something like Arizona has been untouched for the past 20 years, where they will have a can of iced tea still 99 cents. How does that happen? How does that happen in the year of our Lord 2026? And
that depends on where you go.
Yeah, I understand that. But the whole thing is that as far as Florida is concerned, Arizona iced tea 2026 still costs $1. And it's the big ones. It's the ones that are shaped like this. And the fact
I know 7-Eleven, you go in there, at least in this area, and they're like $1.29, $1.39, something like that.
Compared to most other places. Jesus Christ. And the fact that places like Japan, Haas, they have a type of ice candy that they release that was like 50 yen for years. And you know what they did the moment they had to bump it up after like generations of keeping it the same price? They put out a formal apology. They said, we are sorry to all the people who spent 50 cents on this, but we have to bump it up by 10 cents. And you know what they did the next time they had to bump it up 10 cents? They posted a video. For those who aren't initiated, in Japan, when you bow, that's supposed to be a sign of respect when you're apologizing. The idea that you're closer to the ground because you want somebody to understand that that's how truly sorry you are. You know what they did, Haas? Not only did they post a video of everybody in the factory bowing, they took photos of them bowing further and then getting on the ground and bowing in anticipation in case they had to bump it up the next times they did it. So the fact that people can be as polite as that across the country, or excuse me, across the world, that we can't even do anything half as close to that is bullshit. Anyway.
Well, you know, that's a perfect place for me to come in with my shoot and shout, because you're talking about people being polite. My shoot and shout is actually going to come from a little something else that's happened recently. You know, there are people who are just so disrespectful. Maybe you should think about what comes out of your mouth before you say it and who you're saying it to. If you can look at somebody and tell them that I wish your family member was dead, you are just downright despicable. And that is just disrespectful beyond disrespect. I mean, it's people just need to be nicer to each other and quit being so damn disrespectful to each other. Think about what you're saying before you say it and who you say it to, because some people you can say something to and it may affect them. Other people you say something to and it may affect them even more. And you just need to watch what you say and who you say it to and just be nicer. So that's my shoot and shout.
Why wasn't Susie here? I know she's got a lot of bones to pick with people in the FWWC.
Well, I think she may be having some issues. She keeps popping in and out of the back. So
I really do have to watch the way I swear on camera. I know only a certain amount of people actually watch our show, but it's one of those things where I have a new job and I'm just like worried that they're going to find a video of me ranting about stuff. Specifically that time I ranted about the customers in Sam's Club.
Well, and you know, when I put this on Spotify, because I do put it on Spotify, I actually clicked the button that says not the 18 plus button, but anyway, the button that lets them know that there may be some bad language in it.
Well, I can't help it that I grew up in the Jim Cornette school of calling shit out for what it is. Because I'm sorry, there's a lot of stuff that it's like can we call it what it is? Because if it walks like a duck and sounds like a duck, it's probably a fucking duck.
So, all right, Susie, you got a shoot and shout for us?
Oh yeah. My shoot and shout is mainly, kind of, there are people who they're wrestling fans who take this stuff way, way too serious. Okay. And, a show like ours, you have people that come on and they throw out names of people who have nothing to do with that show, but they're always throwing them out there. They claim, oh, I don't like this person. I can't stand this person. But you build that person up every time you run your mouth about them. If you really don't like them, let it go. Don't talk about them, because the more you talk about somebody, the more you give credit to them, the more you popularize them. Stop popularizing them by talking about people who are irrelevant to the conversation. If they're not a part of this conversation, don't bring them in it. Leave them out of it. And, much like what Haas was saying, you say things to people, you really need to be more careful about what you say, who you say it to. And when you tell somebody something like, you want their family member to die, or you want this or you want that, you don't know this person in real life. You don't know this person's struggles. You never know what somebody else is going through. And you never know when you just might push that button on somebody that's going to send them into a school to shoot it up, or they may come looking for you. So you really should be more careful about who you disrespect, who you say things to, and what you do in this life. If there's somebody in this life that you can't stand, don't bring them up. Don't talk about them, because the more you talk about them, the more relevant you make them. And if you don't like somebody, don't wish ill on them, because I used to date a guy one time that told me, when you wish ill on somebody, you're just wishing it on yourself, because karma is going to bring it back on you more so than them. So just, like Haas was saying, just be nice to each other. Stop and think about, what that golden rule says. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And if you can't treat others the way you want to be treated, then don't get mad when people treat you like crap, because you probably deserve it. Uh-oh. Haas, can't hear you. Are you muted?
Yep, I muted myself. But I think we are about 10 minutes away from the game show, if the last message I saw was correct. But let's try to talk a little bit more about what's been going on in the world of wrestling. And I just had something come across my phone, but of course it was actually announced last night, so some may have already heard this. But during Raw, it was announced that Logan Paul has sustained a torn tricep during Saturday night's main event.
Ooh.
So this is although the World Tag Team Championship doesn't appear to be leaving the Vision.
No, if you
Thank
were
God,
watching,
Freebird rule.
yeah, if you were watching, Mr. Heyman actually told Austin Theory, he said, look, dude, he said, I put in that the Vision would defend the tag titles. And when the Vision defends the tag titles, he told him that would be you and Breaker. So yeah, they made the announcement last night that Breaker was going to be taking Logan Paul's place until which time Logan can come back, or they lose him, whichever happens. So yeah, that was kind of brought up.
Yeah, so it looks like Logan Paul will be out of action for a little while then,
Oh, what a shame.
But
she sat at the back of her chair, completely unbothered.
Well, and I got to tell you, something that I know was kind of one of our one of our hot topics that we haven't brought up tonight, but I would love to discuss. Let's talk about an arrest that was made recently by a superstar who has put a future match of his in jeopardy because of this. That's it. There he is, Mr. Ludwig Kaiser. He was recently arrested for battery. Will this impact his booking going forward? There has also come out another thing that has been said that that WWE may have thrown out there to kind of make this sound like it's something that's good, and that is that WWE has said that the reason the melee happened was not just because the guy told Ludwig and his girlfriend, to more or less get a room, but he also threatened to call ICE on Ludwig. And the question of that one is, was that really something that WWE threw out there to kind of make the heat on this settle down a bit, or was it real? Did it really happen?
I don't know if it really happened or not, but irregardless, I think when you tell somebody, if he's told him, I'll call ICE on you or something like that, especially if you are a wrestler that gets heat on a regular basis, you know, your skin should be thick enough that you don't have to push them down and kick them and beat them for a statement like that. Um, sure, look at him and say, screw you, look at him and flip him off, whatever. But I don't think even that statement would require physical violence. Um, you know, and honestly, I think if for WWE not to catch heat on it, I think they have no choice but to suspend Kaiser at least until the outcome of the case. By then, people will forget about it, and they can bring him back and do whatever they want, and people will just be like, "Oh, hey, he's back," and it'll be forgotten about. So, but right now, with the heat that's on the whole situation, I think they have no choice but to suspend him. I think people are going to give them flack if he's not suspended. Um, like I say, at least pending the outcome of the case.
But the
If
thing,
he's found not guilty, or he's found that his actions were justified, sure, let him come back right away and be like, hey, okay, he's back and what he did was justified. But if he's found guilty of it, then maybe give him a little time after the guilty verdict and
but
then bring
he's
him
not
back.
wrestling as Kaiser right now. He's wrestling as Americano, and everybody knows that it's him. Everybody knows who is too.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, that they are completely different individuals, and you are. I have said this since day one that you guys keep trying to associate these guys like they're the same person. They're two different people, Susie. I don't know how I have to keep telling you. They're completely different, all right? So what happens?
And I guess OG Americano isn't Chad Gable either, is he?
No, I think he was on Monday night. There's no way. And I'm sure you're thinking that the additional guys are going to be Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate and the Creed brothers, right? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
You're crazy. You understand how crazy you sound right now? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I understand how crazy I am. But my point being, we all know. I mean, and if that's the case, then when was the last time you saw Kaiser actually in the ring? When was the last time that Ludwig Kaiser actually wrestled?
I saw him in Orlando like 5 years ago when I was working at BJ's.
He lives in Florida.
No, I know, but
all this happened in a Florida apartment building. Come on.
I mean, would you put it past it, dude? I always tell people whenever I tell them I'm from Florida, I always say, and yes, all the rumors are true. What rumors? All of them. All of them. Every single thing you've heard about Florida is true.
I lived there for 1.5 years. Trust me, I know.
I don't think you do know because it goes so much deeper than that. Next time you guys have a party, I call it the Florida Man game. Look up your birthday, like the date and month, or even I think it's the year too. Look up the month and year and look up Florida Man and see what the first article that pops up is. You will have the biggest gas of your entire life because it is the funniest thing ever. And it's because Florida is stupid. We are a live action episode of South Park. That is how dumb this state is. And if it wasn't for the fact that I grew up here and I love the smell of the rain, I would not put up with it.
The funny thing is we have a radio station around here. They call themselves the Big Dog. And yes, it's a country radio station. It's an older country radio station. But anyway, they have a thing every day at 4:20 they call the Big Dog Dummy. And what it is they tell stories about idiot people who done really stupid stuff. And most of the time, I have to say that when they tell these stories, it's usually from Florida. A lot of the Big Dog Dummies are from Florida. What is this?
So, Gabe, your thoughts on the whole Kaiser situation?
See, it's one of those things where it's really emotionally palpable in 2026, where I think it's a little bit too much of the real world leaking into professional than I would prefer. You know, when it's something beyond dudes, sweaty dudes in trunks wrestling, grappling, and grunting in the middle of a ring, you lost me. So I don't really feel one way or another about it, only because I don't know how that's going to appear or how it's going to sound, but also like I just don't care. So whether or not there was an individual who said something or said something else doesn't really reign true with me. The only thing that really stands out is the fact that it sounds like a dude was trying to go out of his way to talk that big talk. Like he, you know, his mouth was cashing checks that his ass couldn't cash. Or, you know, his mouth was writing checks that his ass couldn't cash. So when somebody like a Ludwig Kaiser shows up, understands that Kaiser is a promotion of the word czar, which means king or emperor, you understand why that is, because this man puts the fear of God in you. And I don't know about you, but as a 100-and-nothing-pound Floridian man, you know, half Puerto Rican, I would be scared shitless if I ran into Ludwig Kaiser in real life, famous status or not. So if that's the kind of stance you want to take with that sort of thing, by all means, you are more than welcome to. But when you're eating your teeth, then I don't think you should run to the police and cry about it. This is where a phrase like the jury is still out on that is a very literal sense. But the fact that we don't really know the details of it, and I can't really blame the guy if it is something that's politically charged as far as ICE is concerned. But it's also one of those things where I'm like, well, if I'm with my fiance in public and some dude is hassling me as I'm probably minutes away from going back to my apartment, and I can't imagine it must have been something that was casual as like, hey, you're stinky and I don't like your wrestling. It had to have been something. You don't just attack a man, especially with somebody as refined and as poised as Ludwig Kaiser. Have you seen a photo of this man? He looks like he looks like he would apologize because you happen to be in his shadow by accident. Like he doesn't look like the kind of guy who has an aggressive bone in his body. So clearly this man must have said something very offensive to get this under this man's skin to where he would beat the shit out of him. So I can't speak on behalf of everybody else, but in my case, I'm not justifying what he did, but I can kind of understand where he's coming from. And unfortunately, I've been seeing that a lot in the year of 2026.
As somebody
I know from what I read, it stated that Kaiser was on the elevator of his apartment building with some woman, and they were practically, they were kissing very passionately and practically making out in the elevator. And this guy was on the elevator, and as he got off the elevator, he turned and told him that he should be more respectful of other people, and Kaiser just pushed him down and started punching him and kicking him. And according to the police report, they actually viewed the video, and you do see Kaiser in the elevator. You do see him kissing the woman, and then you see him knocking the guy down. And the video actually supports the story that the guy told. Now, what did the guy say? Who knows? Because I don't think there was audio in there. But so
can we
see,
get
but
a shooting
that's
shot
where
about
you
that?
and me.
Sorry, Susie. Just can we get a shooting shot about that? Because I don't understand how it's 2026 and we have fucking camera footage that doesn't have audio. I'm like, we have cameras in our back pockets every day. Like I'm mad about that from like a legal perspective. I'm like, how do we not have audio? How do we not have something updated about this? Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, love.
No, I was saying, you were saying that, like somebody like Ludwig Kaiser, you would kind of back down from him and say, oh, no, not me, not me. I'm just the opposite. And Haas can tell you, I'm the type, I'm going right in there. I'm going to get in the face. I'm the one that's going to I'm probably going to get my rear end kicked, but I'm going to get in there and I'm going to do it. I met the Undertaker once and he made me mad and I told him off. I was at King's Dominion one time with a bunch of people, and Mick Foley was across the courtway, and everybody's standing back, and everybody's going, "You don't just walk up to Mick and say hello." And I looked at him and went, "Watch and learn." And across I went, walked right up to Mick and said, "Hi, Mick, how you doing?" Sat there and talked to him for about a half hour or so, and John come over, and I'm the type that when most people are running away from the situation, I'm the one that's running to it. So where you'd say you would have backed down, I probably would have said something like, "Hey guys, get a room next time, please."
But you make a fantastic argument, and that's fine. But can I flip this in a different direction then? If you're in Ludwig's shoes, somebody like you would square off to some prick like this. But also, I think it's safe to say that they would have to say something pretty vulgar or pretty offensive to you to where you would actually do that. Because I don't think you would do that off rip, right? If I said something like, "Oh, you're stupid," right? That's not beat the shit out of a guy worthy. I think it's like, I don't think Ludwig buys his own hype that much. So I'm playing devil's advocate. I understand where you two are coming from. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if I was in that guy's shoes, I might have said something like, "Hey guys, get a room." But I don't know that I would have stood there and chastised him for being rude or disrespectful. I might have just said, "Get a room." And I really don't think that that's something Kaiser would get too upset about. Exactly. But if he did and he started screaming back at me, I'd argue with him. I'd fight with him.
And to add some credence to it, and again, playing devil's advocate here, but if somebody does do something as I think it's heinous to say that you would threaten somebody, even if you're joking or even if you're not fully committed to it, to doing something like contacting ICE in regards to somebody making out in an elevator.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry, you're kind of asking to get your ass beat. Even if you didn't intend on doing it. Just because I'm like, I understand better than everybody. I guarantee you my fiance would be on the side with this with me. Alyssa would be like, "Yeah, no, I would probably say something if they were making out in an elevator." She'd be in the same bed as you, Susie, that she would say, "Okay, get a room." But I don't think she would do something as insane as like, "Well, you know what? I'm going to have you deported for this." Like, that's not.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah. But I'm like, I can understand why he wheeled back and like.
Yeah.
But, you talk about going head to head with people and going at people. I want to bring a man in here who is coming in to handle our world famous Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge. So let's go ahead and bring him in here. He is the one and only, the Hall of Famer, Luke Skywalker Roberts.
Everybody, it's the Wrestle Talk podcast. It's time for the Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge. And I've been sitting back and watching for a while now. Arsene, I got to tell you right now, you have a very firm grasp on that championship belt. But you know something? I think after tonight, considering the fact I do believe that if memory serves me correctly, since you are the reigning champion, I know it'd only be fitting for you to be a part of tonight's game show challenge. But Susie, John, since you two have had to take so much verbal abuse and punishment from one Gabriel Arsene, I'm going to throw this to you. I'm going to let you decide however you want to decide. You want to play rock, paper, scissors? You want to have a match right here? However you want to go about it. But I want the two of you to collectively make a decision of who's going to come in and, at least in your mind, defeat the champ here tonight.
I think it should be both of us against him. A 2-on-1.
Well, wait a minute. He's pointing at the belt, so I guess we're going to have this as a 2-on-1. You know what? No. I think you make it a little more interesting. And since he is carrying a championship in the FWWC, and he's been flaunting it all night long, we can obviously tell. And John, you're flaunting yours, and
Susie's got two.
You know what I think? since everybody's got a piece of hardware, how about this? And again, I don't know if the FWWC is listening, but I think tonight, since we're going to do this, we're going to have ourselves the first ever three-way dance game show challenge.
Ooh, a triple threat.
A triple threat right here on the game show challenge. So you know what? Whoever's back in the production truck, whoever's back in the gorilla position, let's go ahead and hit the music for tonight's first ever triple threat match for the world famous Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge. Hey, Arsene, I'm going to tell you right now, you've been parading around all night. You ain't got this one, boss.
I want to point out that midsection plate is the IC championship from the WWF, and the side plates are from the IWGP championship, but whatever.
Now, since Arsene thinks he knows what's up, so welcome to tonight's world famous Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge. Tonight is the first time ever triple threat contest. Now, the rules are going to be a little different here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge. Instead of tonight being the best 2 out of 3 falls, much like back in the late days of WCW, tonight's contest will be the best of 7 series. Which means that the first person to get 3 answers correct will win tonight's game show challenge. Tonight's challenge is simply called Chain Reaction. I will give you information, a championship, a famous feud, a nickname, a catchphrase of a particular wrestling personality. When you think you know who it is, you shout out the name. Here's the catch, and you're going to figure... No, I'm not going to tell you the catch. I want you to try and see if you can figure it out. Hoss, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Susie Hoss, are you ready?
Let's go.
Arsene, I know you're ready because you keep wanting that belt and polishing it up for somebody to take it from you. So, let's rock on. The first fall. Name the individual with the catchphrase, "You are cursed."
Danhausen.
Danhausen.
Susie Hoss with the first fall.
I thought you were going to say "you are fired." I was like, Vince McMahon.
All righty, here we go. The second round. This NWA competitor was known as the Russian Nightmare.
Nikita Koloff.
That is correct. Arsene on the board with his first fall.
Young Lion, Old Soul, baby. I know the NWA. I know the territory days. Don't ever step to me. I'm 27. I don't care. I know these things.
Okay, Arsene, then I'm going to ask you, why is this category called Chain Reaction?
I have no idea, and I can admit that. It's the difference between me and everybody else.
All right, our third fall. This competitor is known to WWE fans as the Demon.
Finn Balor.
Finn Balor.
Another round goes to Gabriel Arsene. The correct answer was Finn Balor. Does anybody know the connection yet?
I'm going to feel really
Painted
stupid.
faces?
No? Good thought. Round number 4. This former NWA, WCW, and WWF competitor is known for the nickname Ravishing.
Rick Rude.
I got to go back and look here at the timestamp on my computer device. And by a fraction of a second, Susie Haas coming through with the 4th round. Now, Hardcore Haas, we got to talk here, friend. We're 4 rounds in to tonight's game show challenge. You're still not on the board. To win tonight's contest, you got to get the next 3. No pressure, but you got to get the next 3.
I call a replay challenge on that last one.
Too bad, overruled. Number 5. This individual has been known on the Independents, in TNA, and in AEW as the Mad King.
Eddie Kingston.
Arsene, you are correct. And unfortunately, that mathematically eliminates Hardcore Haas from the triple threat. Now, here's the catch, though. Susie, with 2 correct answers, you could take the victory away from Mr. Arsene. Round number 6. This man is known for his time in the WWF, WWE, and in TNA. Most recently, he's known as the Wanted Man. Name him.
Brian Keith.
No.
James Storm. I don't know. I'm genuinely lost on this one.
He was known by a different name in the WWE.
Ain't Brian Danielson, is it?
His brother is also a competitor.
Jeff Hardy. Matt
No.
Hardy.
No.
Oh my God.
In the WWE, he was known as the Show-Off.
Dolph Ziggler.
No.
Nick Nemeth.
That is correct.
I was like, are you going to get me on a technicality? Are you serious?
Yes.
Fair enough.
And the last round, this man was known in the WWE as the one-man band, baby.
Heath Slater.
That is correct. Now, I still have one more question before I announce a winner. The category was known as Chain Reaction. What connects all 7 of these? To repeat, Danhausen, Nikita Koloff, Finn Balor, Rick Rude, Eddie Kingston, Nick Nemeth, Heath Slater.
They're all German?
No. Us?
I don't know.
Arsene.
I don't know. I can't. I'm racking my brain.
Now, since obviously Arsene's going to take a while to figure this out, think about it. Danhausen ends with an N. Nikita Koloff starts with
An N.
So
They all have an N in their names.
They don't, though. Heath Slater, Nick Nemeth.
Rick Rude starts with an R, ends with an E. Eddie Kingston starts with an E, ends with an N. Nick Nemeth starts with an N, ends with an H. And Heath Slater starts with an H, ends with an R. They all started with the same first letter that the previous one ended with.
Oh, okay.
So unfortunately, it is my honor. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Tonight's winner is Gabriel Arsene.
Where's my victory music?
Oh, God.
The Warriors Heart World Tour runs unopposed, ladies and gentlemen, because Gabriel Arsene is the one and only Warriors Heart champion, ladies.
So before we go, Luke,
Quizzes.
I know when you came in, we were discussing the Kaiser situation. So where do you stand on all of this? What do you think?
Well, I'm a level with you. I've always been of a mindset that when it comes down to professional wrestling, it sounds weird, but I look at it from the perspective professional wrestlers are athletes. They are competitors, but they're also human beings. I know that they're out on the marquee. They're the ones that are constantly being showcased and on television. I've always been of a mindset, being a former competitor, when I'm done in the ring, and I mean, there's times for taking pictures, there's time for signing autographs, there's all that kind of stuff. There's time for selling merchandise, all that kind of stuff. But I've always felt fortunate that when it's my time, it's my time. You don't need to get all up in my business when it's my time. Now, from what I've heard in the story, Kaiser was on his time. He was in his own dwelling, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I've heard he was in his, I believe it was his apartment complex or an apartment complex or something like that.
He was in the elevator of his
He was in
apartment
the
complex,
elevator. That is
which is a common area.
right. And the idea of where, I mean, I've kind of heard a little bit was going on throughout the show. The idea where I had heard somebody else say throughout many different forms of media that there was a much better way that this could have been dealt with. And I'm not saying that as it relates to what Ludwig Kaiser did. But again, it's one of those where, number one, the individual involved, from what I've read, has kind of overstepped a little bit. And by the same token, if Kaiser would have wanted to do something, being a trained professional wrestler, he could have been a lot more physical. He could have been. It's that simple. People have been taught a lot about this in the world of professional wrestling. To me right now, I look at it from a perspective that everything is, I mean, again, we're just going to have to wait to see how far it's going to be pushed.
Yep. I mean, I agree. And you know, I don't think, I mean, if suspending him is what WWE has to do, then that's going to kill a story for AAA. And I think right now they should just let it play out and wait till the final ruling.
From what I've
One
read
thing too,
so far,
one thing to look at too here, guys, and I just throw it to you this way. Arsene, here's a thought that's here too. Is, correct me if I'm wrong here, but isn't it right now only being deemed as a misdemeanor?
I believe so. I don't know 100%, but
To me, that's another avenue you got to look at too. And again, I'm not in our country, it's innocent until proven guilty, and I get that. But by the same token too, there's a lot of difference between a misdemeanor case and a felony case. Honestly, if it stays in this kind of a wheelhouse, considering the timing that we've got, could it be that we see the end of the El Grande Americano storyline? That very well could happen. There's a lot of ways that could be dealt with. And like I said, right now, I think only time's going to tell what's going to happen. But to me, I've always looked at it that, and I can't remember who it was that had said something about how fans are constantly in airports, at hotels, at restaurants, at gas stations. I mean, you're a 24/7 personality. But when you're home, when you're inside your own domicile, that's a different avenue. I mean, I can't be any more straightforward than that. So, but you know something, gentlemen, I know you got a little bit of business to take care of here. We've had a great discussion here tonight. I'm going to go ahead and remind you that in a little over 2 weeks, we are going to have, and I got confirmation on this, I'm going to make sure you keep an eye on social media. There will be a major announcement on the Wrestle Talk podcast on the next episode that is going to, again, show exactly why the Wrestle Talk podcast is the premier podcast for professional wrestling on the planet. Susie, Hardcore Hoss, Arsene, Thank you very much for letting me host Game Show tonight, and I look forward to being back here very, very soon.
All right. Thank you, Luke.
Thank
Love
you,
you,
Luke.
Skywalker. Stay beautiful.
Well,
I love
guys,
the
with
phrase.
that too, I'm going to
we hit
step
it off.
out. I'm going to step out and let you guys close the show. It's been a pleasure to be on with you guys tonight. And guys, hey, it was a great show. It was fun, and I look forward to helping out again sometime. Everybody
so much
in
for your-
Wrestle Talk Kingdom, we love you. Thank you for watching, and hey, just keep it going, guys. Don't forget the hashtags. Hashtag Wrestle Talk Podcast. Hashtag Let's Talk Wrestling. Hashtag Susie's the bomb. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody have a good night.
Yeah, she's the bomb in that it ends in disaster.
So, Gabe, it's been a pretty good show. I know there's still questions that we didn't get to. Still, plenty of things we could talk about. We could go all night long, but I think for tonight, I think we pretty well covered things going on in the world of professional wrestling. So,
I think we did a pretty good job of making the most out of our questions. I don't think the concern, as somebody that I wanted to point out earlier, is that it's not quantity, it's quality. It isn't the fact that this is my third championship as Warriors Heart Champion. It's the fact that every time I've held this belt, it has been something special. It's not the fact that you have held your belt for the longest amount of days. It's the fact that you have been the hardcore champion to show up and shine and fight every single opponent. The same as much goes for Susie Haas. And I think it's not the fact that we've had over 500 episodes, or I believe 400 episodes of the Wrestle Talk podcast. It's the fact that every time we show up, we aim to give you the best perspectives, the best news, the best takes on professional wrestling, and the platform for the newest future stars in the world of professional wrestling as the Wrestle Talk podcast. That defines us as why we are great as we are, and why we're the world famous Wrestle Talk podcast.
So that's going to do it for episode 542 in the books. Be sure to tune in 2 weeks from tonight for another great episode of Wrestle Talk Podcast, when you'll see Luke Skywalker Roberts, and you'll see the one and only Ace. They'll be teaming up once again and hosting episode 543, and just can't wait for it, because we just always have some hard-hitting topics, some hard-hitting questions, and some of the best guests around, and just always a great time. So be sure to tune in 2 weeks from tonight, episode 543. So for the Night Owl, for Luke Skywalker Roberts, for Gabriel Arsene, for Susie Haas, for Ace, and for myself, Hardcore Haas, we'll see you next time, and have a great night.